Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. We're going to talk about black and white developing and the chemicals I've been using. I just did a couple more rolls, and we'll probably be talking about those shots that I did. They're the ones that I took mostly in Seattle. Those two rolls are mostly from my Seattle trip that I took recently. But I just want to talk about the development process, the kind of chemicals I've been using, and maybe touch base with some of you out there if you're getting similar results that I am getting with my chemicals. We have to talk about, where are they? The Seahawks. The NFC champions, they are going to the Super Bowl. I am well pleased by that result. We'll get into your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings, and then we'll close the show as usual with our Patreon shoutouts and updates. You find me on a very windy day, a very beautiful day though, an unseasonably warm day, especially considering the weather that's been afflicting the Pacific Northwest recently. It's been rather cold, kind of just frozen for a couple weeks, and now it's in the high 50s, and it's kind of sunny, and it's really windy. So I'm enjoying that. Did I say windy? Windy, windy. So let's get into all this. Lots of good stuff to talk about. There are so many windsurfers and kite surfers out here today. Just anytime there's a wind like this. It's interesting though, it's actually kind of a nice warmish day, but I'll be out here, it's like 34 degrees, and just because it's stormy, there will be people in their wetsuits running out in their windsurfing, doing windsurfing and kite surfing. That is dedication. All right, gang, what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, this week on Patreon, we will have the first impressions video for Cornell and Diehl Blue Ridge. This is what I have termed a Vaperkish blend. So a Virginia, Perique, and Turkish blend. Very interesting, one that I was pretty impressed by in the first impressions video. Be sure to check that out exclusively on Patreon this Monday. Next week on Stuff and Things YouTube and on Patreon, we're gonna have my winter film shots video, where I go through some of the shots that I've been able to take on my film camera. My Leica M4, which I have in here, right there. The sorts of shots I've been able to get this winter when it has been, obviously it's not right now, but typically it is super dark, super overcast, super wet, super rainy, and it makes it kind of tough to get really good film shots. At least for me, I've been trying to work with what I have been able to work with. You know, typically I go to work, it's dark, I come home, it's dark. It's tough to be able to get out there when there's still light left to actually take some photos. So I did a couple rolls recently. These are the rolls that I did before my Seattle trip, and I'll just go through some of the shots that I've been able to get winter film photography. And the week after that, we will do the Cornell and Diehl Blue Ridge full review exclusive to Patreon. Lots more good stuff coming up on both YouTube and Patreon, so please stay tuned. All right, so I just developed 2 more rolls of black and white film the other day, and those are the rolls that I was mostly, the pictures on those rolls were ones that I mostly took when I was down in Seattle. And it's been interesting for me because I started doing home development almost exactly a year ago. It was early January of last year, and now it is late January of this year. And when I decided to do at-home developing, I had never done at-home developing before. I had developed black and white film before myself, but that was in the darkroom at the University of Southern California many years ago. I don't even know what chemicals they use there. I just know that they had a little formula. They had an instruction sheet in the darkroom or in the film lab there, and I just followed that, because I was a student and I didn't really know too much about the theory at the time. I just did, put your roll in here, put the chemicals here. I just did what they told me to do. Didn't really question it back then. And now that I've been developing my own film, when I first decided I was going to do that, because I was going to be shooting Kodak Tri-X, I decided I would use a very traditional developer. So I decided on Kodak D76, which is a very old school developer, something that's been around for decades and decades and decades. I chose that partially because it's cheap. You can get You can get it in powder form, and you can mix up a big gallon of it pretty cheaply. It's not that bad. I think it's like, I don't know, 11 bucks or something for a gallon of it. And then I decided to use the Kodak Fixer, which was also the powder fixer that you can mix up. I used the Kodak Stop Bath, basically all Kodak chemicals. I use Kodak, what do they call it? Photo Flow for the final wash to prevent spotting on the negatives. So I decided to use all Kodak chemicals. I decided to use the powdered forms because there's just so much history around those chemicals and those developers. And I knew that I'd be able to find, you know, if I ever wanted to push my film or ever do anything interesting with the film development process, there would be lots of information about all those processes with those chemicals. But everything I had read was that your developer's not going to last forever. Your fixer's not going to last forever. You need to store things, you know, in cool, dark spots. Try not to get a lot of oxygen to those developers and things like that. And with the developer, I have basically just run through my developer. I use it at a 1-to-1 dilution. So 1 part developer to 1 part water, and I just dump it afterwards. I don't reuse it. And it lasts quite a while. I've never had it sitting inside a bottle so long that I thought there was ever any chance of it going bad. So that hasn't really been an issue. I've only had to mix up 3 batches? Maybe only 2 batches of the developer, and I have, you know, the dark kind of amber glass bottles that I keep the developer in. I have 1 that is a liter and 2 that are half liters. And once one of them gets kind of empty, I'll put, if the big bottle gets like more than a quarter empty, I will pour it into the smaller bottles to make sure there is less air in the bottle, just to kind of prevent it going bad before I use it. And I don't think it's going to be an issue because I never end up having it stored for too long. The fixer, though, I have had for over a year. I mixed up that fixer in early January of last year, and it's just the Kodak powdered fixer. And I have done 40 rolls in that fixer. When I'm done with it, I pour it back in the bottle through a funnel that has a filter on it, and it's still working absolutely fine. I think I had read 6 months or 60 rolls, whichever comes first. And obviously I've done double that time. I've done over a year, but not the 60 rolls. So I'm thinking that maybe it's more about how many rolls you do in that fixer than how much time you spend, as long as you're storing it without any sunlight or oxygen getting to it. So I'm just curious, how long do your developers last, or do your chemicals last, your fixer in particular? What do you use? Are there reasons behind the different developers and different chemicals you use? I am very, very happy with the Kodak chemicals that I've been using. And I'm also very happy with just the cost effectiveness of it. If I can have a fixer for well over a year and not have to worry about replacing it, that's kind of cool. So doing at-home development for black and white using these Kodak chemicals is very, very cost effective, especially considering the fact that it would be, you know, 20 bucks a roll for me to get things developed and scanned if I just sent them out. So very, very pleased with what's been going on with my Kodak developer, fixer, stop bath, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below what you use. Well, well, well. Look who's in the Super Bowl. It's the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. 2 teams that apparently no one thought it was ever possible that they would make it into the Super Bowl. I'm not going to go off on the NFC title game. I think that was a fantastic game. I love that it showed that the Seahawks have other ways they can win. They had to rely on their offense, and their offense was amazing. The Rams just have the Seahawks number as far as defense goes, or as far as their offense goes, and when put up against our defense. Mike McDonald is good at getting a good defensive game plan. He's good at making adjustments, but whatever Sean McVay is doing as far as calling plays for the offense, he really knows how to get the yards. I think they had almost 1,000 yards in the last 2 games that they played against the Seahawks, and we still managed to beat them both of those games. But Sam Darnold did amazingly well. He had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Everyone's constantly questioning, can Sam Darnold do it in the big game? Well, he did. He's done it multiple times in big games now. But I've been hearing a lot of nonsense from a lot of doofuses saying that it's annoying that 2 teams as boring as the Seahawks and the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. Shut up. If you wanted your team in the Super Bowl, maybe they should have been a better team. The Seahawks had the best record, tied for the best record in the entire NFL, had the best record in the NFC number 1 seed. They were 14-3. They were the NFC West champions, and they won. They're the best team in the NFC. That's why they're in the Super Bowl. And it's not the Seahawks' fault that the national media just never really talked about them very much and ignored them all year long. I knew at the very beginning of the season that they were going to be good. I thought there was a very good chance they would win the NFC West. When Vegas put their win total at 7.5 before the season started, I thought that was insane. They won 10 games last season. Mike McDonald's defense was only going to get better. I knew that Sam Darnold would be an upgrade over Geno Smith. I knew that Jackson Smith-Njigba was going to have an amazing year. I didn't know he would be the number 1 receiver as far as yards this year, but I knew he would be good. I thought it was ridiculous to guess 7.5 wins for the Seahawks. I thought they would at least get 11. I think my over-under on the Seahawks was 11. I should have done I never bet on sports, but I should have done some crazy parlay bet where I did Seahawks win the NFC West, number 1 seed, go to the Super Bowl, all this stuff. I could have parlayed all that together and made thousands and thousands of dollars, because I don't know what the odds were for the Seahawks reaching the Super Bowl before the season started, but I know they were very low. But now they're in the Super Bowl, and all those doofuses out there who are complaining about it just need to suck it up, because the Seahawks are probably the best team in the NFL. I'm not going to just take it for granted that they'll be able to beat the Patriots, but they were easily the best team in the NFC West, or best team in the NFC. I think the 2 best teams in the NFC were the Rams and the Seahawks, and the Seahawks beat the Rams 2 times out of 3. They're good. They're great. People say, oh, there aren't any stars on the Seahawks. You just haven't been paying attention to the Seahawks. There are a lot of amazing players, both in the defense and on the offense. Sam Darnold in the playoffs. So everyone's complaining about Sam Darnold, like, Sam Darnold. Why do we want to watch Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl? In the playoffs, he is 37 for 53. He is 470 passing yards, 4 touchdowns in 2 games. 0 interceptions. He has given up 5 sacks, and he has a 122.7 passer rating. He is by far the best passer rating of every playoff quarterback this year. He has 8.74 any net yards over average, which is also number 1 among the playoff quarterbacks. I think he's ranked number 4 or 5 all time for playoff quarterbacks since 2010 or something. So Sam Darnold has been doing amazingly well. The Seahawks have been doing amazingly well. I think there is a very good chance they're going to win the Super Bowl, and I am quite pleased. I am very smug. The Seahawks don't seem to care about all the people who supposedly doubted them. They're not using that as this big chip on their shoulder or source of motivation. But I definitely noticed all the people ignoring the Seahawks all year long, all the people second-guessing them, all the people picking against them every single week. And I am very smug that the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. And I think they're probably going to win. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like to answer it on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings. But you probably shouldn't, because nobody does, and I never read X/Twitter anyway. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can leave me a question or comment via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. If you hit that super thanks button under this video, you can go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. We have, first of all, a missive from our good friend Ted Stryker via Patreon. Ted says, watching the game now, I think this is the NFC title game. Pretty tight so far at halftime. I'm more of a college football fan, but I'm watching because there are multiple Michigan men on both teams. I've decided to root for the Seahawks overall, though. Yay! Your fandom has swayed me. LOL. Cheers. Welcome aboard, Ted Stryker. I know this is probably just because your team, whoever that may be, was out of the running, but we appreciate you. You can jump on the bandwagon all you want. Next, we have at JCT Manu, who says, "Go Seahawks! With my team done, I'm in it to win it with Seattle." Again, welcome aboard. We have CH-EC5ON, who says, "Congratulations to the Seahawks." Loved it. Loved all the congratulations from people who are watching the NFC title game. I was on cloud nine. I've been listening to so many different podcasts and news reports and just basking in the Seahawks' glory lately. At Tom Brown says, so this was in reference to me almost being hit by a car recently. I was crossing a street in Milwaukee and it almost made it to the other side. That's when a car caught the bottom of my overcoat from behind. Oddly for me, I was coming from church. There's a lesson in that somewhere. So it came by so quickly behind you that it like yanked your overcoat. That's a pretty close call. At Ledger and Lace says, "I have a friend who had a 1962 Ford truck. I think, honestly, I can't remember the details because I don't care." Anyway, he always had strangers coming up in parking lots asking about the year, and then they'd tell a story about their dad or their grandpappy having that truck. He also got the wave from other dudes driving trucks. No one ever waves at him in his EV now, ha ha ha. So we're talking about the comments that I get over my Leica, because people who know what a Leica M4 is, or just a Leica M film camera in general, they will have to say something. If they see you with the Leica and they know about a Leica, it's like, well, I have to go up and talk to this person. And you notice that, I noticed that when I had a Vespa scooter for a while. Anyone else who had a Vespa scooter, it was like, yep, we share something. We're brothers. All right, and then we have some feedback on my "Hey man, nice camera" video. So talking about all the comments and the interactions that I have when I take my Leica out with me. Our good friend at Tom Brown 1898 says, "If you like a me and I like a you and we like us both the same." And then saying from the 1902 Harlem musical Under the Bamboo Tree, written by James Weldon Johnson et al. I'll take your word for that. It actually gets cornier than that. There have been products that look exactly like, there have always been products that look exactly like what they should look. So I think I know what you mean there. So like, I talk about that with my Nikon FE2, where it just looks like the dictionary definition of a film camera. And so you're saying that the Leica camera is one of those products that looks exactly as it should, and I agree. If you really want to draw attention, try toting around a Speed Graphic. Great show today. Speed Graphic, those are those old like press cameras, right? Is that what I'm thinking of? I think so. They have the bellows on them and everything. We have at Ultra Classic, who says, "I was shooting with my Leica M6 and a girl came up to me and asked if my camera was an M4. I said no, it is a Leica M6. She then told me that she only dates men with a Leica M4 and walked off. I was actually stunned by her comment." I'm gonna take your word for this, Ultra Classic. This sounds insane. I can't imagine a woman ever saying that. But she let herself down anyway, because a Leica M6, even though the body is shaped basically the same, pretty much all Leica M6s are all black. There are some chrome, and most M4s are chrome. There are some black ones, but they're much more rare. And the Leica M6 has the big red dot on the front of it. So anyone who knows anything about Leicas would never confuse a Leica M6 for a Leica M4. So she's letting herself down. Next, at SpeedGoat23 says, "Over the summer, I visited Switzerland and sat down at a little corner cafe with a beer and put my Leica on the table next to me. Had a very similar interaction with the group of older Swiss, presumably gents next to me." I'm assuming you're saying they're presumably Swiss and not presumably gentlemen. They were pretty stoked. And then at Ledger and Lace says, "That's hilarious about the grandpa." So there was an old German man who saw me with my Leica camera and was very pleased and he was crowing to his family, who were not very interested, about my camera and about how I developed my own film. I love that image of him yelling to his family, "He develops his own film." My sister has my dad's old Pentax from the 60s, but we're all lazy and just use our phones at this point. My soon-to-be 16-year-old nephew is into vinyl and retro stuff and music, The Cure. Oh, that's cool. And he's into Title Fight out of Kingston, Pennsylvania. I've never heard of Title Fight out of Kingston, Pennsylvania. They sound a lot like the Chameleons. Good stuff. Yes, it sounds like maybe you guys should give the Pentax from the 60s to your nephew, who is into retro stuff. He might appreciate and enjoy that. All right, gang, thanks for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. But now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where I thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. With YouTube being what it is these days, it is pretty much the only way I am able to support doing what I do on YouTube and on Patreon. Your support on Patreon, $5 a month gets you in. It makes all these videos possible. If you like anything I post on YouTube or on Patreon, your support on Patreon keeps that stuff coming, and it also gets you early ad-free access to all the videos that I post. It also gets you exclusive access to all the pipe stuff that I post. So any new pipe stuff has to go on Patreon, and all the old pipe stuff that used to be on YouTube is being placed back on Patreon. Every week I put a video review of a pipe blend from the archive onto Patreon. So good stuff there. If you like what you see on Stuff and Things or Stuff and Things Patreon, well, you wouldn't see the Stuff and Things Patreon stuff unless you're supporting us on Patreon. But if you like what you see, click that link in the description box below. $5 a month gets you in. And every week we shout out those who support Stuff and Things at $25 or more a month. The producers of Stuff and Things, people like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, Chris Caughey, and Ryan McFadin. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support Stuff and Things at $100 a month, people like stolid, dependable Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, what can you look forward to exclusively on Stuff and Things Patreon this week? Well, to take the rock off my notes, first we will have on Monday the first impressions video of Cornell and Diehl Blue Ridge. And then on Thursday, from the archives, we will have Peterson Sherlock Holmes. Ooh, intriguing. That review was from August 10th, 2016. Very interesting blend, one that I don't remember loving completely, but one that has always been very popular, and I remember at the time a lot of people wanted me to review that blend. So check that out, that'll be posting Thursday. But lots more good stuff coming up on YouTube and on Patreon. Until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday. Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. Go Hawks. 2 more weeks. Well, 1 more week. And then we'll know if they're the Super Bowl champions.